What's up, basketball fans? Welcome to the Raps Report. It is time to talk about the Toronto Raptors because we got a bunch of trade rumors today to discuss with you today. So if you're ready to watch, make sure to hit the like button. And if you wish to hit the subscribe button as well, that'd be very much appreciated. So with that being said, let's get into today's video. And as you guys know, I do like to give out shout outs on my channel. And the shout out for today's video goes out to Bibsly99. Thank you so much for supporting this channel through your likes and comments. It is very much appreciated. Now, the first news I really want to discuss here, it really caught me by surprise because I actually had another video I was working on today. I wanted to release, but I was Googling Toronto Raptors and look what comes up. It was in an article by Doug Smith, which was reporting that the Toronto Raptors could try to get into the sweepstakes of the Jimmy Butler trade. And I will be talking about this article in a minute, but no, I'm not suggesting that the Raptors are wanting to trade for Jimmy Butler, more so to become the third team involved because of how much money Jimmy Butler makes. So let's take a look at this article, which went on to state the Raptors aren't driving the Jimmy Butler sweepstakes that's consuming NBA fans who live and die on the speculation that's about to engulf the league ahead of the trade deadline. But they're sure like to have a say in how it all ends, talking to a handful of people around the league, all granted anonymity because none have the ultimate say in how the saga ends. It is obvious the Raptors are trying and hoping to insinuate themselves into the conversation. It's not that they want Butler, his skill sets, age, and $52 million player option for next season, along with his long-term financial desires, make him about as ill-suited as anyone to join this roster. Now, the article did go on to state something that I have previously stated in many of my previous videos, which is that it's going to be really difficult for a lot of teams to acquire Jimmy Butler, given the new CBA rules and just given how many teams he wants to go to that are past the luxury tax, which means that you have to match salaries. And this is where the Toronto Raptors come in. You can throw in Bruce Brown's large $23 million, but not only that, you can also use Chris Boucher's $9 million. And then don't forget, we also have Davion Mitchell as well, who makes about $6 million as well. So throwing any of those players in there really just helps any sort of team that really wants Jimmy Butler to get some sort of salary. Now, I do want people to keep this in mind when we talk about the Raptors throwing in some salary. The third team always gets compensated. Now, that is obviously a luxury for the Toronto Raptors because they can also take back a little bit more money than they're giving out as well, given that they aren't close to the luxury tax. And maybe perhaps, just perhaps, the Raptors get more in a trade like this than they do for trading Bruce Brown just by himself. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. One note, though, since we are talking about Jimmy Butler, he did meet with the Miami Heat owners today, and Kevin Love posted a very interesting video on his Instagram, which was a video from Wolf of Wall Street, pretty much Leonardo DiCaprio saying, "I'm not leaving." So take that as you will with a grain of salt, whatever that means. Is Jimmy staying? Is he going? No one really knows. But let's talk about some of the other trade rumors that came out regarding the Toronto Raptors as well. Now, shout out to Raptors Update on Instagram because they've been doing a great job just following up some of the trade rumors surrounding the Toronto Raptors. And they were reporting that Kelly Olynyk is absolutely on the open market. And Jake Fisher said that he believes Kelly Olynyk is available for trade and the Warriors are interested in trading for him. Now, do not be surprised that the Warriors are interested in him. They obviously could always use a center, but particularly with the skill set of Kelly Olynyk, who can stretch the floor. He can pass as well. Again, he's a little bit on the older side, which is fine because the Warriors aren't necessarily looking for young players. They want veterans. They want players that can come in and help right away. Now, in terms of the Warriors, taking a look at their salary cap situation and keeping in mind Kelly Olynyk does make about $13 million, not 16, $13 million. It is going to be challenging for the Warriors to include all of that. So a player like Kyle Anderson directly comes into mind when we talk about some of the players that the Raptors could get in return. And spoiler alert for my video I was actually working on, I was going to talk about some players the Raptors should target for the trade deadline. Kyle Anderson was actually one of them. So Kyle Anderson and his $8.7 million would be an interesting player for the Raptors to acquire in a potential trade for Kelly Olynyk. Definitely wouldn't want Buddy Hield just given he's a shooting guard and the Raptors already have a few guys that can play that position. So in terms of some of the other approximately $5 million or so, obviously Moses Moody's right there, but he signed an extension, which means he isn't trade eligible until the summer. And before people mention it, again, the Warriors can't necessarily trade Dennis Schroeder as well until the trade deadline passes, when he becomes trade eligible. And of course, that's not going to happen. So again, a few players to keep in mind in terms of money that makes it work for Kelly Olynyk would be definitely be Kyle Anderson, excuse me. Definitely not Jonathan Kuminga. As much as we might want it, or Brandon Podziemski, we're not getting those for Kelly Olynyk. They could throw in Gary Payton, or another player I'm looking on is Kevon Looney. Those are two expiring contracts as well, so the Raptors aren't necessarily taking on long-term money. And of course, if they are trading Kelly Olynyk, ideally you do want to get some sort of picks in return as well. So again, we'll see what happens with Kelly Olynyk. It seems like a lot of teams definitely do want to trade in him. If I'm the Toronto Raptors, one thing I am certainly doing is doing my best to absolutely trade Kelly Olynyk, because this to me seems like a situation from last season when we're talking about Bruce Brown and the Raptors wanting a first round pick in this year's or the next year's draft, which is a loaded draft class. So reportedly they were being offered a first round pick last season, but they chose not to do it because it was a weak draft class. And also that pick very likely was in the 20s. But regardless, if the Raptors are smart, they would look to move off of Kelly Olynyk, because we do not want to deal with a similar situation to Bruce Brown, where if Kelly Olynyk is playing poorly or he's just really injured next season, all of a sudden that contract looks bad and no teams want him. Now, speaking of Bruce Brown, he is the next player we will be discussing, and it was being reported that Bruce Brown has been regarded league-wide as the most likely Raptor to be traded, according to Mark Stein. Now, of course, this should really not come as a surprise to any fans, any Raptors fans or fans around the league. This has been a player we've been hearing so much about the last, honestly, just like the last year, ever since we traded Pascal Siakam and we acquired Bruce Brown. It's been a player that a lot of people are anticipating should get traded. Is he going to be available? Absolutely. Who's going to be able to take on that 23 million contract is the big question for me personally. Again, if a player like Jimmy Butler does get moved, the Toronto Raptors are certainly going to be that third team involved that helps another team just fill the salary filler for Jimmy Butler because of his large contract as well. So again, not too much to talk about Bruce Brown. We know he's going to get traded, but who's actually going to trade for him? And then on top of that, just making the money work is going to be a little bit complicated as well. But I'm very curious to hear your thoughts on this. What are your thoughts on this? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And as always, I do have a trivia question for you today. And that trivia question is, which player was traded by the Raptors on the day of the NBA trade deadline last season? Was it A, or Otto Porter Jr.? Is it B, Thad Young? Is it C, Dennis Schroeder? Is it D, Kira Lewis Jr.? Or is it E, all of the above? So whoever answers this trivia question correctly first in the comment section gets a shout out in my next video. So that will be it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you guys have yourselves a great day.